My name is Moti Schwartz, head of Mishkenot and the festival, and I'm thrilled to open this special event about the Riot Days. Member of the Knesset, Merav Michaeli, will speak with Maria Alokhina, member of the Moscow band Pussy Riot, and author of Riot Days, yes, and with Olga Borisova, another member of Pussy Riot and the book editor, about their social activism and the 2 years Maria spent in the Russian prison, after which she wrote her book. It is a rare opportunity to welcome to our festival these guests. We appreciate the efforts you've made to get here, and as we learned just recently, those days, the Riot Days, are not over yet. This edition of the festival have a lot of with protests of all kinds, so we asked Merav Michaeli to lead this protest here tonight, and I want to thank her. Member of the Knesset, Michaeli is known for her genuine independent voice, her stand in issues like gender rights and more, and I think one can agree that she brought with her a fresh vibe to politics. We will start with a trailer from the film Act and Punishment by the Pussy Riot friend film director Evgeny Mita. Right after, we will welcome Merav Michaeli, Maria Alokhina, and Olga Borisova. Thank you.
Shalom, Erev Tov. And thank you for being here.
Thank you.
We were all of us invited here, so thank you to the festival for inviting us. I saw you, I suppose, how many times did you see this clip already?
Well, clip and film, a lot of.
What do you feel when you look at it?
Well, when I look at other people, to Nadia and Katya, and, it's okay. But when I see myself, it's like it's hard to explain. I don't like to look at myself so much.
None of us like to look at ourselves so much. This is why we take so many selfies, of course. No, but seriously, what do you think about it? It's like the church incident was in 2012.
Yes,
so
6 years ago.
6 years ago. So you already have, and many things have happened since then.
Yes.
So when you look at it, you have some retrospect. What do you think? Like,
responsibility. I feel responsibility because, well, if we show it to the audience, that means that we give not only the background, but we give a statement, because the statements which we made on the court, inside the prison, it's not. They are not about 2012. They are more than about this time. They are about freedom. And unfortunately, our country, I mean, in a state level, lose freedom more and more.
Yeah, I think it's that now that you are, I wanted to come to this later, but you mentioned it. I think, from my understanding, the situation in Russia now is worse than it was in 2012.
Definitely, yes. Well, the punk prayer happened in the February of 2012. That was a week before the elections, so-called elections, where, of course, everybody knew who will take the chair. And just less than a week ago, now, we had inauguration of Vladimir Putin, about which you heard, of course. And, well, especially I think now, at this year, it's kind of a point of understanding what happened during this last term and what probably will happen during this term, fourth.
Olga, can you elaborate? What does it mean what will happen in this term and what has happened?
So if we can compare this time and, for example, our reality. In this time when Pussy Riot case happened, people was shocked what has happened because it was first big case and it was направленный вектор, заданный.
It was like she's trying to say that it's choosing a political line direction way.
And for example, now it's our reality because now you can be detained because of your Facebook post, for example, or like it's happened some days ago because of paper planes. I'm talking about action who did Masha and different activists in Russia for freedom of internet in Russia.
And you were detained?
Well, briefly, the story is that in 16th of April, FSB blocked Telegram Messenger in the territory of Russia with the help of independent Russian court. After that, in this day, we came to Lubyanka, to the main FSB building, and started to throw paper planes to the building. Paper planes, because it's a symbol of Telegram.
And now it means what it's even paper planes is forbidden.
Yeah, police arrested us, and we spent 48 hours in the cage inside police station. I mean, if they arrest you, you're always in the cage. But anyway, it's paper planes, and.
But there is a difference between living in this big cage, okay, in which you can still be with your son, and you can, do stuff. Of course, it's not the freedom that you want, but it's not like being locked in an actual cell or in the prison that you were in, which was very, 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 very difficult, and to say the least.
That was difficult.
So still, my question is, what makes you do that? I mean, what makes you take this risk?
I'm not afraid of, let's say, classical state government prison, because I think that fear, which can paralyze people and stop them of any activities, is a more dangerous thing than state prison. It's first. And second, I'm not taking it seriously. I mean, really, FSB building is the main building of Russian security service, which is actually ruling the country, because Putin, his former KGB agent. I mean, really small agent who was working in Germany. And now these great people without faces, they are ruling country and afraid of teenagers who were throwing paper planes. It's not how can you take them seriously? They are
they are killing people. That's how you can take them seriously.
They are. I mean, just we should remember 2015, the murder of Boris Nemtsov, Russian opposition leader, who was shot near the Kremlin walls on the bridge. And of course, everybody knows what is going on in Chechnya, which is not...
Even in England, in Britain?
In England, yes. But, well, our country should not be represented only by this...
And I understand, but I'm asking you, how come you are not afraid?
But... I don't know, well... in Harry Potter, they wrote that if you
Already good. Already, it's a good answer.
they teach that if you, for example, afraid something, you should imagine that's the most funny image of this, and throw it like a big balloon. I don't know. This is a way probably.
Okay. You know, it's no. By all means, are you doing this? Are you actually doing it?
I'm
Imagining.
I'm throwing paper planes and go and.
You mentioned that Putin was a KGB agent, and in your book, you are writing that Putin was a KGB agent and the patriarch was a KGB agent. And now you say those people, those two men, you say this is why they are in love with each other, right? And you put, it seems to me from your book that this union of Putin and the patriarch is for you one of the worst things in Russia. Is it true?
Well, since 2012, as I said before, a lot of things happened. The main one, for my opinion, is a spring of 2014 when annexation of Crimea happened. And after that, Russia went to the, let's say, point of not coming back. Because after annexation of Crimea, sanctions of Europe happened. And after sanctions of Europe happened sanctions of Putin against Russian people. They start to burn products, burn food from the West. They start to forbid some products from the West. And the main thing and the most terrible thing, they start really brutal militaristic propaganda. They start to use words like enemies of the state, enemies of the people, with the portraits of people. They start to create quasi-Nazi groups who are hired by administration of the Putin, who are sponsored by administration of the Putin, and who are beat people, beat activists with whips, with how to say it, metal sticks near the houses, and nobody arrests them, and everybody knows that nobody will arrest them.
So activists on one side, activists who are against Putin will be arrested, and also there will be violence against them and severe punishments. And activists, or so-called activists,
It's not activists.
It's not activists. It's like ultra-patriotical nationalists.
These people are employed. It's not activists who really believe in something.
but they are bullying other people on the streets,
Yes,
and they
for
will
money.
not, and they will not be punished, of course.
They will not be punished. For example, just before the inauguration in the 5th of May, 5 days ago, there was a huge demonstration in the center of Moscow against Putin, of course. And there were not only police brutality there. There were so-called Cossacks with whips who really beat people. Some activists are in the hospital still. And one media found a contract with city administration of Moscow, with these Cossacks for 16 million rubles, which is how much it is? $10,000 for pay for these people to do this in this demonstration.
So yeah, they found evidence what it's Moscow's administration had a contract with these people who beat activists.
But actually, Putin also has real support.
All the channels belong to his friends and provide propaganda. All the TV channels. So there is no question of a choice.
And I think because of propaganda, people in Russia now think what is big угроза, not это не риск, threat from the West and the whole world which are against Russia. And people remember bad times, for example, of economic instability, and they're afraid changes. And a lot of majority of these people don't understand. I don't really know what now we have laws and real people receiving real terms because of Facebook posts, for example. They really don't know about this. They think everything is cool, and they watching TV, and they create their image after evening news.
It's like they are trying to build a reality with a permanent war.
Yeah.
With a permanent searching for enemies outside of Russia and inside as well. So they start since the spring of 2014 use the word fiscolon. Fiscolon, so it's a term from Franco's Spain from 30s. There are kind of 4 columns which can attack you from the outside. A 5th column is
כן, guys חמישי. I get it. Nothing that we know anything about, of course, here. Are you saying Russian people are brainwashed?
Well, it's no independent media on the screen and printed. It's only internet. And now even internet, they try to censor very fast. Also, I think it's not a brainwashing, but it's a propaganda. It's we don't know what will happen if we will have free press, if we will have elections. I mean, without falsifications, without money, without violence against protesters. We don't know what will be. But I'm sure that will be something different.
So do you think this is why the media is the reason why there is no larger, bigger, more dramatic opposition against Putin? Is this why?
Not only media, of course, simple fear. I mean, not so many people want to be beaten.
Or go to prison.
Yeah, so... And also, really a lot of people left the country. Last, I think, 3 years was huge immigration to Europe and to States. A lot of people who've been protesters 2012, they left the country.
But you are not planning on leaving?
No.
No.
Why?
Why not?
It's I think it's simple view. It's our country too, and we have all rights for be happy or be safe in our country. And we have constitution, for example. Yeah, everyone forgot about this, but it's like a main law in Russia. And it's in this little book, we have rights about what we have rights for demonstrations. We have freedom of speech and stuff. Why we have to just okay, we can't do something and because we have now. I don't know what's happening later, yeah? Maybe one of us or whatever will leave. But we have hope. I think this is the main thing, but we have hope because we can see these people who was there and who protested. Protested? Sorry,
we're protesting, I think.
Against this regime. We can see like a new generation, young people like students or who studying in school, teenagers who not watching TV, who really want to explore the world, who are reading the independent media, and we can see. And I have hope when I'm watching these guys because I think this power, these guys from government, this like
old frogs.
Old frogs. Sorry, yeah, old or not old, this doesn't matter.
Yes, portrait, he's really like a crocodile.
I mean, how these people, new generation, these young people can admire to these people who trying all the time, hire their lives, hire their money, and they don't want to be similar, like, or be together with them. Как сказать, быть похожим. Yeah, and I believe in this generation and our generation too. But I understand the view of, for example, my parents or more old people, because it was like a dramatic memory of.
Traumatic memory.
Yes.
Yes. What do your parents do?
What you mean for life?
For yes.
My father is like just a driver and for municipal company, like electricity and stuff. And my mama,
hair cutting.
Yeah. Just simple people.
And your parents?
Yes.
She's a true proletarian.
I used to work in police as well, you know, and I have strong proletarian blood, you know. I understand these people.
My mom, she's a programmist, and the father, he's a mathematics professor.
And what do they think about what you're doing?
I'm a mom also. I mean, my son is 10 years old.
Yes.
So I'm kind of both sides.
I didn't ask if they allow you to do it. I asked what they think about it.
They, well, they're okay. I mean, they know me for a long time. They know that it's better to ask what do you need, for example, if you're arrested, than to say something bad.
That's what they do. So they support you.
Yes, they support.
And
my parents.
It's a very funny story. So in February we decided to do an action in Crimea, and Crimea, as you know, is a very kind of dangerous place. I mean, it's not so easy, as we know now, to do an action there. So Oля told her mother that she is going to Human Rights Forum in Kaluga, which is like a city near Moscow, small city.
For just lectures and stuff. Because I know my mom, she will worry about me, and it's just like a protection. I didn't know what in media it was later. In media it was news what I disappeared and.
Yeah, that was like all news that Oля and Alexander, who is Sasha, our photographer. So the problem is that they lost for a day, because before that police arrested them 2 times for 4 or 5 hours. So they spent like more than 10 hours in 1.5 days in police stations and FSB, and they. Police broke all their devices, computer, they burned the hard disk, they burned iPhones, so they broke everything. And the guys were without any connection.
With world.
Yes, and they lost. And Well, we wrote that they lost. I mean, and somehow it became like news
To my mom.
everywhere. And her mom, she was unhappy. Unhappy.
So
She wrote me a lot of things.
so yeah, my parents in general, not about this situation, but in general, my parents. It's hard to tell what they like really support me. They not like prepare myself for demonstrations, and they not going with
But
me.
you're not 30 yet.
Okay, yeah, I'm 23 years old, yeah, and but my parents think what I can't change something. It's a popular view of people in our country. What you can't change something. They're stealing, yes, but who not stealing in this country? And I think just now, maybe after 2 or 3 years of activity, they can understand something. Because before. Ну, я не знаю, надо что-нибудь скучать, потому что я... Okay, that's it.
Anyone understood what she asked?
It's about what I used to work in police, and my mom was so happy about this, and she a little bit missing this time when I was in uniform, you know, and stuff.
Stop.
From what I inquired, I think you are the only protest ever in Russia that was led by women.
No,
Or
definitely no.
okay, so who are your formative mothers?
Well, there was even before the revolution, there was a movement called Народовольцы. It's like will of people. That was quite anarchist and actually terroristic organization. So a lot of activists were there, were women. Sofia Perovskaya, she was, for example, how to say it, executed, death penalty from Tsar because of her political activism. And during the revolution, 1917, 18, 19, women's rights were part of the concept of the early Soviet Union. And after that, Stalin upside down all of that. And, well, everybody knows what happened after. Anyway, if we look after that, for example, during Soviet Union in 70s and 80s, 70s, some dissidents were women and wrote. There are not so many, maybe 1 or 2 books you can find from women's prison that time, but they exist. Larissa Bogoraz, for example, she was not only the dissident who spent several years in Mordovia prison camp, but also a defender and organizer of several newspapers, and that was quite hard. Perestroika time, rock musicians, who exist underground, and that was a part of political culture, of course, as well.
Of course, I did not mean that there were no women activists. Of course, this is unthinkable. But I think leading in the front, like you are, it is unique, the way you are. And I was watching the scene in the court, and the way they talked about how you are feminists, it's as if part of your crime is that you are feminists.
Lawyers of the lawyer of so-called victims from, actually mostly they were security from the church. It's a security company which is working in this particular church, and 7 from 9 court victims were the guys from this security. So and the lawyer, she's a very strange woman. So she decided to do her own court monologues, which she thought quite, I don't know, she found it interesting. So her thoughts on feminism you've heard on the film, on the clip.
It's all because of in this song, Pussy Riot called Virgin Mary like a feminist. That because they start to explain, but it's not close to us. She's not. It's not true.
Don't say this dirty word about Mother Mary and so on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, yes, feminist is a dirty word about Mary.
For their opinion, yes.
No, but it exposes that, like you say, for them, it is a dirty word. So today, for the regime, for the government, and for Putin in Russia, part of the way to control is also to control women.
Putin made a lot of anti-feminist statements.
I think it's, well, the main thing about their patriarchy, let's say, it's because they're power-based not only on security service thing, but also criminal culture. And criminal culture is patriarchal from the beginning to the end. The place of woman there is mother or whore. And unfortunately, this criminal culture is really spread out to their minds, and somehow we can see it on, I don't know, through different statements which they made. Про Слуцкого. Расскажи про Слуцкого. Только коротко.
So okay, we have one guy from parliament. Why? One guy from parliament who tried to kiss or touch a lot of journalists.
Not only kissed, he kind of touched her pussy during the interview.
And kissed too. I mean, different because it was a lot of cases. Like a lot of girls. Was a journalist who came to his cabinet for make an interview, and after this,
one of the journalists, she taped what he told her, like really dirty words about like come to me, be my lover, blah blah blah, and so she published it. Of course, the scandal started, and the main editors of several independent newspapers and internet media went with a single demonstrations to the front of parliament. And after that, I mean, kind of discussion started. It should not be any discussion about this person should be just kicked out from the parliament and that's it. But a lot of people appear with the opinion that if he will be kicked out from the parliament, that would be dangerous for men because women somehow will have more influence
no way.
and so on. Yeah, I mean, a lot of statements
But they
like
are
this.
right.
Yes, and
It would be dangerous for men,
But
and
the
women will have more influence.
But the interesting thing, but this view providing by especially women from Duma, from our parliament,
Yeah,
they're
this is the second
explaining
thing.
what this guy, he's so handsome. You have to be grateful for his attention. And this really crazy because, for example, one woman, now we had this law in Russia who permit member of your family to beat you if it's your husband.
It's like decriminalization of domestic violence.
Yeah. And this law was created by women.
Mizulina, yeah, she's
Because it's our
totally crazy.
Because it's our strong Orthodox culture. You don't have to go to our family. It's our choice how will we like
And this is the legal situation now?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it is a big. You are. So you agree with me that it is a problem to be a feminist
But
in
it's not-
Russia today.
We even didn't touch problems which exist in the south regions of Russia, such as Dagestan
Or Chechnya.
or Chechnya. They can beat women with stones just because of their decision, or to kill a girl and to bury with her husband because they should be together, and so on.
Also, patriarch, it's correct. Patriarch proposed to forbid abortions, and it's really crazy what one guy, man, who wants to control women in Russia, and have this power, has.
So now they changed the law, so you cannot have an abortion.
No,
Oh,
They
not
didn't.
yet.
It's illegal
They
yet.
didn't. He just made this statement 2016. After that, there was some collecting signatures, but no, it wasn't signed. The thing is that we can count these situations and examples for a long time, but well, I think we shouldn't concentrate on them too much, because we should think what we can do and what answer we can give. Otherwise, we will be very sad, and it's not right.
How do you define yourself today?
Define?
Define.
Self-definitions, I hate them.
Ah, Sasha. Hello. Welcome.
Masha. What do you mean self-definition? You mean like artist, activist, and so on? I don't like it.
That's why I asked. I did not define you. I asked, how do you define yourself? Like if someone comes from space, from Mars, and they say, what are you? Masha.
Okay, she wants to. I would be first. If it will be helpful. I don't know. I mean, I can describe myself like an activist, like a member of Pussy Riot now, from Russia.
Okay, I will tell you what I'm interested in. Like, how big is the part of the art in your activism and politics for you?
It's a part of life. I mean, I was studying literature mostly. So when I was arrested, I was in 4th course of institute, and well, I was studying literature, poetry, and journalism a little bit. So, and also I was taking courses on cinema, because I thought I will do cinema sometime when I will be grown up. So it's a part of life. And I think all the political art cannot exist only like in activist way, because in this point it will be in activist groups. It's just a lot of forms which we try. It's not only direct actions like in 2012. It's only political theater. It's music videos. It's books. It's all what we can do.
I think it's important. It's a big part of life because it's a good way to feel what you are free. If you have something like a protest inside you and some words what you want to tell to the world, it's different ways to tell this by art, by like books or actions, street actions, by films, anything, and this it's really important because it's help you to be free.
That's a beautiful thing to say, of course. Do you think it is more effective through art for people, not for yourself? Is politics more effective through art, or is it more difficult to understand? Is maybe plain activism is clearer?
We were talking before this talk. There are moments when the governments could not make a collaboration decisions, but the community of citizens and the community of artists can, and sometimes it gives more influence than actually a state.
This is a vision. You said to me, make hummus, not war.
It's a graffiti from
We just talked
Bethlehem.
about what we've seen in the world. We not say that's just like a statement, okay?
No, this is a beautiful vision, but it unfortunately here too is not a reality yet. So, what makes you think that you will be able to change reality eventually?
I think we're not politicians. For example, for making like proposition to different sides and stuff. But I think our goal, for example, what we when Masha wrote this book, when we create this, we're talking about this a lot, about our goals, what we want to tell to the people. And Masha told me a lot of times what the most important thing it's remind people and explain to people what they have voices, what they have a choice, and it's the most important this moment when you decide to start to do something, and I think this is more important than to show people what they have a choice and different way.
It's a responsibility of artists as well as politicians. And, well, how? You asked how. For example, not boycotting, it's a gesture. And each gesture which each of us can do, we should do. Nobody, Nadia, Katya, me, nobody expected any criminal case, international attention, prison term, blah, 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 blah. Nothing. We just, we made what we felt we need to do this moment. And if you're living this moment, you always will find a way how not to be indifferent, how not to be indifferent.
Are you in contact with Nadia?
Yes.
And how is she? Where is she today?
She's in Moscow. Now, yes. She went to the court after paper plans, and she spent she spent a year in the United States in 2016, but after she came back and now she's there in Moscow. She wrote, we've been both in 5th of May demonstration, this one I mentioned before inauguration. She wrote not an article, but I think an essay with impressions. And we are doing also a media zona, which is independent media outlet and only court journalism in Russia. It's covering police violence, violence inside prisons, political court cases, and it became one of the most popular internet media in Russia in 3 years.
Good for you. You are also suing, in court. No, you went to court against suing. You. No, not suing. Suing in court about lies about your jail time and other jails.
Oh, you mean
conditions.
This one which will happen in next days, 15th of May?
But you already won.
Yeah.
You already had one
in
which you won, right?
Yes.
So explain to me how come you can win the cases about the lies in jails, in the courts in Moscow.
Well, that one which we won not in Moscow. That was in Ural Mountains, where my penal colony was. So I was a prisoner, and I had a court against the prison administration, who started treat me, and that was unfair. So I start to think, what can I do? Because if they will just do this pressure every day, you feel yourself very like a victim, and this is not good feeling, because you cannot beat them, for example, you cannot do anything, but you feel that it's unfair what they are doing against you and against all the prisoners, because it's legal slavery what they have. It's a slavery system. They force people to work for like 12, 14 hours. They do not pay them. They treat them like just mass to obey. And that's what they want only. No medicine there, and nobody knows the main thing. Nobody knows about that. So we went to the court, and yes, we won after months. And they had a push from Moscow. Several prison guards were fired, and they start to recover barracks, these places where prisoners are living. They start to improve work conditions, and there were some changes. And after that, they transported me with a special paper from Moscow to another penal colony, because I was kind of pain in the ass. And in second penal colony, the same thing happened, yes.
And you're asking how they won in this situation. But I think the big attention from media and a big support, this was helpful. That because, for example, media zone is so important. Because if you're arrested, detained, and nobody knows about this, they have a possibility to just kill you, and nobody will ask them, where is this guy or girl or whatever.
Usually courts like this happening, I mean, they no longer than 20 minutes. And mine was a week, 8 hours per day, and 3 weeks of preparation. I was reading law, and
they're afraid attention.
And I had an attention.
How many years is it now that you are already back from the colonies?
So we've been released in December of 2013, 2 months before the term, because Putin wanted to make a good image of himself before the Olympic Games. I think it's kind of same, but before the World Cup.
Yes, exactly, the World Cup in Russia. So once again, you need to have quiet. But what I want to ask is how are you doing after this time in the colonies? Are you sleeping?
I'm doing. Yes, I'm sleeping, but not. Sometimes not at nights. And since that time, a lot of things happened. These Cossacks with this green liquid which they throw to faces, and we were the first with Nadia, of course, lucky, who felt this amazing idea of repressions, putting fucking green liquid to your faces. After that, they start to use it more and more and more. Media Zona was also a huge experience for us because none of us never organized any media. We were people totally from different area. But a lot of journalists were fired after the annexation because they refused to write about this like government want them to write. And a lot of them were our friends. So now they are in Media Zona. I don't know how you can say in one word, how is life? I don't know, okay. What?
Does it help you that you are a band of women? Is it easier for you to work together or to support? I mean, the fact that you chose to be a band of women that do this together.
This is not, I think, well, this is not a band of women. This is not only women's collective. For example, yes, I know that you heard, but anyway, for example, in the cathedral, some of the documentators were men, and to document an action, it's as important as to do an action, because if police will catch you, you should not only like be in their hands, but to hide the flesh, which is, I mean, not so easy if you do not practice. Also, Peter, for example, he bring this guitar to the cathedral, which is also not so easy because they have strange security, which sometimes check people, sometimes not. I don't know. I do not separate on men from women at this point. I think how you, for what you are standing for, this is the main thing, not your gender.
For me, for example, it was just everything was so new for me when I like met Masha, and we start work together, do book and actions, and I feel good because I trust Masha, for example, or people with who we do something, and it's really important in this situation, when people, not people, government calling you enemies and stuff, and I feel good.
But there were a lot of jokes, for example, during our trial, that there should be some men behind them. There should be some, I don't know, this how you call this guy who is working with with puppets here. And this word they used mostly. And that's how they see it. But, I mean, it's problems of their view. It's not our problems. Why should we think about it?
Yeah, and a lot of comments like you have to go to your kitchen and you have to do something like create your family, giving a birth, not doing actions.
That your government is, when your government is calling you a traitor, how is the process of the delegitimization by the government. That they make you illegitimate. That they yes, exactly. Is it from the beginning, or did it go like? Did it get worse?
Like how they starting call you enemy.
It's not only about us. It's yeah.
I meant yes.
How it's happening?
Yes, how it started, or was it from the beginning they started calling you enemies, or maybe it was graduate?
Its lexic it changed. No, from the beginning we were witches. After that, yeah, witches, and the word which untranslatable, unfortunately, to English. Кощунница. It's like a person which is breaking something sacral.
Yeah.
Do not respect sacrality. After we've been released, and as I said before, Crimea happened. I mean, Sochi happened and Crimea happened. So when the Cossacks went to beat us in the Sochi during the Olympic Games, they already started to use this lexic of enemies.
And now we are betrayals of motherland.
Yeah, but
for them, maybe. But I don't think what they really believe in this. You know, they're just using this lexic for population and for propaganda. I mean.
Yeah, it's propaganda. But when they annexed Crimea, they built not a wall, but kind of a huge poster with like flags. I don't know how banner. Just in the front of the city with 20 portraits of oppositioners, including me and Nadia, with a huge thing, enemies of the people.
Once again, nothing we know about. Describe to me the future that you want to see in your country.
I want to remind you what we are not politicians and not providing like any
political
parties and stuff. Yes, but
did I ask about political parties?
Political program, she said.
No, I did not say the word political. I asked, describe to me the future that you want to see in your country.
I would like to. Our people will be more involved in like political life. Remember what they have rights, and they have a right for say no. It's really important.
I think, well, firstly, people should have an option to choose their power, to choose president, to choose the parliament. Politicians should feel the responsibility for the people. They should understand that they represent people and not stealing money for forever. That all of what they are doing actually have the sense. Also, I mean, basic things which, as Oля said before, wrote on the Constitution. Free speech, right to have demonstrations without being imprisoned, be beaten, be, how to say it, thrown out to the corner of the city. But also, I think that those people who were working on the power during the Soviet Union should not work there. Lustration, how you call it? It's like, I mean, in Germany, for example, there was a process of denazification, a reflection of what was happening, what happened, why it happened, and how not to repeat it. In our country, there was no process like this. I mean, reflection is not happening because people are the same. And their main dream is just to restore what we had. They do not understand that there were mistakes. They can say mistake, but actually that will be not true. The head of FSB service gave a huge interview several months ago, several pages, where he said that he's proud that he is working in the service, former Cheka, former KGB. So he's proud of Red Terror. He's proud of Big Terror. He's proud of these things. He do not think that was mass murder of our culture, of people. And, well, this is just one example. But it's everywhere. It's in education. They again start to teach kids how to be a good warriors. With whom, with this war we have? With whom?
In your book, I want to conclude with that. In your book, you say that the future is white roses.
White roses is just
because for me, it's beautiful white roses for the future.
No, it's titles. So sometimes titles are statements, sometimes they are quotes, sometimes and mostly they are self-irony. So White Roses is a huge package of white roses, which one very good guy and journalist gave me when the train from Nizhny Novgorod to Moscow came. It's just a detail, but I liked it. I wanted to save it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Masha and Olga.
Thank you so much.